Hello and welcome to NXTGEN Racing, the home of clean and fair sim racing for all.
Good evening racing fans and welcome to Mugello for what is a new era in NXTGEN Racing. This is NXTGEN Racing meet the IndyCar series. Brand new series to NXTGEN Racing, never done before by this series. Open wheelers have done plenty of times in the past, but IndyCar for the first time ever. Very difficult car and a very popular car on iRacing, and it starts tonight here for round one of season one of this championship. A little bit about the series before we get underway tonight. We start here at Mugello for the opening round of the championship on the 11th of August. This series will be brought to you by myself, Alex Everett, commentating on behalf of Crest Autosport. And before we get started with anything else, let's give a shout out to all our partners, sponsors and affiliates that are PowerMax Racing, Mike Sykes Designs, Benji Sim Photos, Motorsport UK Esports, Sam Cases, Moser Racing, Joyce Design, P1.com and Falconer PC. They are the partner sponsors and affiliates here at NXTGEN Racing. So this series is a 10 round calendar and we're going to have 7 road courses and 3 oval courses. We're going to start off at Mugello tonight, and then in 2 weeks we'll be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval, of course, home of the Indianapolis 500. What a round that will be, and it is nice and early on in this series as well to kick us off with the ovals, featuring 3 times in this series. We're over to the UK for round 3 of the championship at Donington Park on the 8th of September, and then over to Japan for the Twinrin Motegi Grand Prix circuit, a circuit that featured in IndyCar in the past. Monza will host round 5 of the championship. Very fast cars featured at a very fast track for the halfway point of the season. Phoenix Raceway, and it's yet to be confirmed whether it's the old legacy layout or the new layout, will feature round 6 of the championship and the second of 3 oval rounds in this series. A week in the Algarve after that, round 7 of the championship will be hosted at the Algarve Portimao circuit in round 7 of the championship. Round 8 will be back to Indianapolis for the road course. Very, very exciting racing there every time in the IndyCar series IRL. Round 9 will be the final oval round of the championship. That'll be hosted at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Not traditionally an IndyCar oval, but on iRacing it is featured many, many times in the official series. It will be flat out, high banked, intense, close racing there at Charlotte for the final oval race of the season. And round 10 of the championship will be hosted in Canada at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, also known as Montreal. A bit of a street circuit with the walls are very close to the track and the cars are in very close quarters with the walls, so that'll be a very exciting final round of the championship. And just to mention, with the oval races, there will be singular races of 90 minutes for those rounds, but there will be a slightly different format with the road courses, which we'll go through very, very shortly. Well, welcome along, ladies and gentlemen. This is the open round of the championship here at Mugello. A fantastic Italian circuit, and it's most popular with MotoGP, of course, but it has also hosted Formula 1. Of course, it hosted the infamous 1000th Grand Prix of Ferrari in the 2020, the infamous 2020 calendar of Formula 1, where it was its only appearance in the Formula 1 calendar. So it is mostly known for MotoGP racing, but tonight it will be mostly known for opening the very first round of the NXTGEN Racing IndyCar Championship. So a little bit about the itinerary of these races, of these nights, before we get into the practice session to find out who is the quickest of the drivers that are out there right now. We've got a near 20 car grid, which should be nice and decent for an early round in this series. So tonight is going to work like this. It's going to be 2 qualifying sessions and 2 races. The first qualifying session will be the next session of the night. It will start in approximately 10 minutes time. That'll be a closed 1 lap session. So drivers will head out onto the track for an out lap. Then they'll have to blast it for 1 lap to set their one and only qualifying lap, and it'll be on cold tyres, so that out lap will be extremely crucial for these drivers, and that'll be their one and only opportunity to set a lap, to set themselves up on the grid for race 1, which will be kind of like a sprint race. It will be an approximately 20-minute race, where it will be the equivalent number of laps of 20 minutes, and we'll find that out when we get to the sprint race. And then after that first sprint race, once that is over, we'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, it will be another qualifying session. That, unlike qualifying 1, will be an open session of 10 minutes. Now, the original plan was going to have a 20-minute session where the grid is split in two. One group will run in the first 10 minutes, and another group will run in the second group. But we'll be running just a singular 10-minute session with all drivers in that singular 10-minute session. And that'll set the grid for race 2, which is a much longer race. It will be the equivalent of 60 minutes. It will be a 39-lap race around this Mugello circuit. And all of the times you can see just below there, they are approximate times, not exact times. So that's when you can expect to see the races going live and the sessions going live tonight. So Mugello, we're in the Tuscany region of Italy, mid-Italy. And it is a 5.19 kilometre circuit and quite high track temperature at the moment of 43 degrees. Of course, that won't be helpful to the drivers, as higher temperatures means more tentative grip on the cars. And these cars over the years have got more and more difficult to handle as it has gone by over the years on iRacing. Of course, there was a brief period on iRacing where they weren't allowed to use the name IndyCar to advertise these cars. That it was called the Dallara IR18 at one point, but they got the license back. It is now affiliated again with IndyCar, and I think we're going to see a lot more from IndyCar over the next couple of years on this sim. They are, of course, producing the game, which will be released next year, I do believe. So yeah, very excited for what's to come. So a little bit about the drivers that are racing in this series. So these are our standings in practice right now with 8 minutes to go in this session. There's been a bit back and forth between 4 drivers, I would say, at the front of this session at the moment. We, of course, have got Alex Meredith, we're watching here, in the Scott Dixon PNC Bank livery here. He's second in the standings right now, and he is only 2/10 down from Mark Frederick, the Dutchman, who is fastest in the session at the moment. And we have got Ewan Stitch in third position in the Motul livery there. From Wales, same as me, so if I weren't a commentator, I'd definitely be supporting him. But third place for him at the moment, just ahead of the infamous on Next Gen, Benji McCluskey, who is the multi-GT3 champion at Next Gen Racing. So let's see what he can do in an IndyCar. And we've got plenty of other drivers. There's 19 drivers at the moment in the session, so very much looking forward to seeing how they all get on tonight. There will be classes as well, so it'll be split into skill categories or classes, whichever you want to call them, but that'll be after round 3 of the championship, once we've got an oval course out of the way and once we've got 2 road courses out of the way. So plenty to keep an eye on in this series. And let's talk a little bit more about the special features of this series. We see Alex Meredith getting a bit squirrely with the rear end there, and he goes into the wall. That's how tricky these Indy cars can be. So these races, they're not going to be easy to predict, as these Indy cars are very difficult to handle, and they are on high downforce setups as well. So yeah, they've got all the downforce, but it is so tricky out there at the moment. So the drivers get plenty in this series. They get 2 tyre sets. Now that is standard with IndyCar racing on road courses in iRacing, but they'll get 2 tyre compounds, which you can see on the timing tower already. There is a red ring tyre compound with an A in the middle. That is the alternate tyre set, which is the softer set of tyres. They're the tyres that are faster earlier in the stint and will drop off a little bit earlier in the stint. So they are very quick right off the block, but they will slow down later in your stint. Whereas we have the tyre compound with a white ring around the outside, a white wall on the tyre as well, and they've got a P in the middle of the icon there. They are the primary tyre compound. That is the harder compound, also known as blacks. They are the longer lasting set, so they will be more consistent across a stint, not necessarily faster at the end, although they do get quicker as the stint goes by. So it is very much down to how the tyre compound reacts to the track, reacts to the temperatures of the circuit, reacts to how you're driving the car as well, how much fuel you got in the car as well. So it's all down to strategy of which tyre sets you want to use at which points. And that brings us to our next point, where what tyres do you use for which sessions? Because of course IndyCar has very specific rules about their tyre use in their series. And the way it works in this series is for the sprint race, the opening race of the session, the tyre you qualify with in the sprint qualifying will carry over to the sprint race, and you must use that set for the sprint race. So you can choose either the soft or the hard tyre, whether that's the alternate or the primary tyre, but whichever one you use in sprint race qualifying, that will be the one you have to use for the sprint race. Whereas in the feature race, you have to use the opposite tyre of what you used in the sprint race. You have to start the feature race, shall we say, with the opposite tyre of what you used in the sprint race. So if you do the sprint race on the alternate set of tyres, that means you must qualify and start the feature race on the primary set of tyres, and vice versa. There's also push to pass in these cars as well, so you can see there's a lot of triple nines on the drivers on the timing tower. That doesn't mean they want to call the police. No, that actually means right now they've got unlimited push to pass to use in this practice session. But essentially what they are allowed 200 seconds worth in the races of push to pass, and each time they press the button they are given between 15 and 20 seconds worth of boost in the engine, which will make them faster. It will help them overtake. And that's why it is called push to pass, and we'll see that trickle down in the races when they use it, and they are not allowed to use push to pass in qualifying either. And another thing for this series, they've got fast repairs. So if they have a crash and their car is damaged, they are now out of the race like what it would be in real life. This is sim racing. It's a little bit fake, but we'll do things a little bit differently. They get basically a magic wand that they can cast on the car. So we saw Alex Meredith go into the wall there. That meant that if that was in a race situation, he'd have been able to fast repair his car if he got it to the pits, and it would have been magic back to life, and he'd been able to carry on. It's basically a get out of jail free card for the drivers, and they get one of those fast repairs to use per race. So they get one to use in the sprint race should they need to, and one to use in the feature race should they need to. Especially not just when you have major crashes, but when you get wing damage or damage on a wheel arch or anything like that. It just means that you can get a little helping hand to keep yourself in the race. There's plenty of bonus points on offer in this championship as well, along with a regular point system that will be based on where you finish in the sprint race, and differently with the feature race. We'll go through that later on as well. But pole position, there are bonus points on offer. Fastest lap, there are bonus points on offer. The most laps led will get bonus points. And these vary in the amount between the sprint race and the feature race. But drivers also get bonus points if they have joined the race. That's basically started the race, and they will also get bonus points if they complete the race. So that makes it all the more important that A, they get to the grid, and B, they finish off the race no matter what. So I think it's the first time I've seen a series do this for a very long time, where they award points for drivers based on attendance and, well, completion of a race as well. So it's very good that the Next Gen Racing are doing that for this series. I'm quite a fan of that feature. Okay, so I've done all of my yapping, and we're getting ready for qualifying very, very shortly. So it will be a one-lap dash, and we will be switching between drivers. So the way this will work is I will choose which drivers we look at, and basically we won't see them all on the track at once, but when we switch drivers, it will switch to them. As Christian, you'll take a spin there, heading out of the top corner of the circuit, the highest point of the circuit. But yeah, it's going to be a very strange session where we're going to be flipping between drivers and watching them go around the track. But it's going to be very interesting to see how slow they take the outlaps, or even how fast they take the outlaps, because generating speed in your tyres is better than going slow on an outlap, but equally doing a slow outlap means they can really shake the car side to side and get the tyres scrubbed in a little bit more. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do with that. 21 drivers in the server at the moment. We've got a good range of nationalities in this series as well. We've got British drivers, Dutch drivers, Danish drivers, and French drivers. Plenty going in this series at the moment. So Very much looking forward to it. And I myself, I used to host an IndyCar series, and there's a couple of drivers from that series that have come over to this series, so it's going to be interesting to see how they get on tonight as well. The drivers now finishing off their session, the final few seconds of the first practice session of this season, and we're about to start the first qualifying session. Who will be forever the record holder of the first pole sitter for the IndyCar series here at NXTGEN Racing? And a shout out has to be given to the guys who helped put it on. There's of course Mark Sykes, who runs NXTGEN Racing himself, but it's the guys who put on this league specifically. They are Gavin Gardner, Jamie Dory and Nigel Stock. A big round of applause for them on behalf of all of us watching and competing in this series, for putting this series on. Working very hard behind the scenes to get it all together as well. Now, drivers will be able to head out onto the track. Now, already I can see a couple of drivers taking primary tyres and another bunch of drivers taking alternate tyres. So there are already variances in the tyre strategies. That's Alex Meredith making his way out onto that track. But you'll see, I'll switch here, and that's Jamie Dory on the track on his own. So we'll have to do this. It's going to be a little bit tricky to see who's where. Of course, our track map doesn't tell us where everybody is, so we'll just have to stick to the drivers that we saw. Very quick in practice, but we'll also get a little bit of help from the sector splits at the bottom there to tell us who's quick in what sector and what order they're coming through. And this is one lap. One lap is all they get, and then we'll be going straight into the sprint race. This is Jamie Dory in the Felix Rosenquist-inspired Arrow McLaren NextGen car. Sorry, this is Benji McCluskey, shall I say, in the Arrow McLaren-inspired car. And there's a couple of drivers in IndyCar-inspired liveries. I think Nigel Stock's in a Target-inspired... No, he's in a Crest Autosport livery. Good, he's wearing a uniform. Okay, let's watch Benji McCluskey. Heading around the final corner, we're also going to switch to the likes of Alex Meredith. We're also going to switch to Mark Frederick as well. Where is Mark Frederick on the track right now? He looks like he has just started an outlap here. So here we go, Benji McCluskey exiting the final turn of this circuit. Toby Decker will be first across the line, and Benji McCluskey will be second. So this will be their first lap. And one and only lap of qualifying. Into turn one goes Benji McCluskey, getting nice and close to the inside. It can be a very fun track to drive on in an IndyCar Can Mugello, because there's a couple of banked corners, but also it's so fast through these left, right, mostly medium speed corners here at Mugello. Into another chicane, he'll go left again and then straight away into another right. Now down the roller coaster section here, right and left. Very fun part of the circuit, and it just keeps going. The more you can keep your foot planted, the more fun it gets on this circuit. Now into the long right-hander here. And we'll eventually brake heavy into this slow chicane. Now, it's about half and half of who is on the alternate tyres and who's on the primary tyres. And that, of course, means we're going to have a bit of a split in who starts the sprint race on what tyre. Now, scheduled pit stops are not really a thing in sprint race. Now, as we're seeing the drivers roll around on the sector splits at the bottom, Toby Deck is first to come across the line. He'll be slower at the moment than Benji McCluskey. He's looking quickest right now. That is until others come along. So Toby will cross the line first. What will his time be? 29, 130, 131. Benji McCluskey is very close, and he'll come across the line around about the same time, actually. And that is Benji McCluskey on the board of a 130.5. Phil McDougall will come across the line next, followed by Christian Yule. Across the line goes Phil McDougall. It is a 134. Christian Yule across the line. And Ewan Stitch was another quick driver in practice. He goes into second position. Gavin Gardner into fourth place. Isaac Doble into second place. Who else is yet to cross the line? We've got Lee Horn, I think, has just put himself into fourth place. Stephen Fry, not to be confused with the comedian, is next to cross the line. The 33 car goes up to 8th place. Paul Williams next. Technical wizard in NextGen Racing. He goes across the line. I think that was an invalid lap from him, actually. Alex Meredith, what's he going to do? He goes up to 3rd place. This looks really impressive from Benji McCluskey at the moment. Mark Sykes, Mr. Next Gen himself, he'll be coming across the line. Jamie Dory is one to keep an eye out on as well. I think Jamie Dory's had a bit of a slower nut there. 2 minutes as Mark Sykes goes across the line to place it in 13th place. Phil McDougall, of course, he is a very popular name in the GT3 racing, and that'll definitely be an off-track running off wide there. We might have gotten away with it, but even still, it would have been a very slow run through that chicane. Christophe Demey has just crossed the line. He's gone into 5th position. Brilliant time from Christophe there, the only Frenchman in the field. And we still... I don't think we have. I think we are completed now on drivers out there. Yep, I believe so. That is the end of qualifying. So our pole sitter is Benji McCluskey. Brilliant in the GT3s, and it looks like brilliant yet again in qualifying here, but in the IndyCars. So that flew by. I realise that, but we are straight into the sprint race now, and we'll grid up for the sprint race. It's a 20-minute race, approximately, and this is our grid. It will be Benji McCluskey on pole position with Isaac Doble alongside in 2nd place by near half a second. Benji McCluskey has got that by. Alex Meredith in 3rd position alongside Ewan Stitch in 4th position. 5th position goes to Christophe Demey with Lee Horn in 6th. Gavin Gardner 7th with Luca Monroe in 8th position. Toby Deck in 9th position with Stephen Fry in 10th. Christian Yule in 11th position with Jeremy Pronk in 12th position. 13th position will be Phil McDougall with Mark Sykes 14th, and last of the drivers who set the valid lap, Jamie Dory will start 15th with Mark Meredith in 16th, Ben Altria 17th from Lewis Mason, Nigel Stock in 19th from Paul Williams in 20th, and starting at the back will be Carl Thompson. All set to go here for the opening round of the championship here at Mugello. Let's see how race number 1 goes. We also have a live race control and a live safety car, so we'll use them if we need to as well, but also the regular iRacing state safety car can be used as well if needs be. If an incident is too severe and the track needs cleaning up a little bit, a safety car will be thrown. Let's see if we get any of them in this sprint race. Drivers line up on the front straight here at Mugello. And it will be a rolling start, as we mentioned. They will move off the grid shortly. There we go. And we'll go through the grid one more time before we get started. Let the drivers away from the grid. Now, a bit of tyre warming might be a thing as they move around this track, and unlike the GT3s, they'll be allowed a long formation lap here, and that'll be to allow them to warm up the tyres even more. Yeah, how many drivers to finish? Not easy to drive these yet. They're not. They are absolutely not. But when you hook them up, they are super, super fun to drive. It just takes a little bit of learning in these cars. That's all it is. Okay, right. Let's do our grid one more time for this opening race of the night. As we mentioned, it's Benji McCluskey will start on the front row with Isaac Doble in 2nd position. Both very big names in the NXTCC as well. Likewise with Alex Meredith, he'll start in 3rd position. Ewan Stitch in 4th position. 5th position will start Christophe Demey with Lee Horn, another popular name in the NXTCC, and an NXTGEN admin himself will start 6th. The admin of this series, Gavin Gardner, will start in 7th position with Luca Monroe in 8th position. He is a former champion in the silver category in the NextGen prototypes, I believe. Toby Deck in 9th position with Stephen Fry, a regular driver in the NXTCC and GT3s here at NextGen, is 10th position on the grid. Christian Yule starting off in 11th, and Jeremy Pronk is in 12th position. He is a very fast oval driver. I know that from the IndyCar series hosted by Crest Autosport, so look out for him on the ovals especially. 13th, Phil McDougall with Mark Sykes, Mr. Next Gen himself, in 14th position. Jamie Dory will start 15th position with Mark Frederick in 16th. Ben Altra is 17th from Lewis Mason in 18th. And at the back of the grid would be Nigel Stock, Paul Williams and Carl Thompson. All into the unknown here as we start this series. It's a brand new Series 2 Next Gen Racing, so a lot of these drivers are heading into the unknown right now, including myself commentating this. But let's see how we get on. It could be extremely, extremely exciting as we're all going into the unknown here. The drivers will have a lot of practice under their belts, so they'll have a plan. At least I think they'll have a plan. Benji McCluskey executed qualifying very, very well indeed. Now, bear in mind, the top three were all on alternate red sidewall tyres, so they are the faster tyres right off the block. So look out for Ewan Stitch later in the race as well, because he was the fastest driver on the primary set of tyres, the harder tyres. So he might come to pace later on in the race. Certainly look out for him. And there's a lot of drivers who didn't set laps. A lot of them are on the alternate softer tyres, so they might be coming through the pack nice and early in the race. Let's see what happens. We're heading towards the final corner now, and we'll start this race. A rolling start, as we mentioned, always a rolling start in IndyCar. I don't think we'd even dare try a standing start in these cars. Alex Meredith, you can see there in the Scott Dixon inspired livery in third place. He's real close to Benji McCluskey. He'll be keen to get into second place nice and early here past Isaac Doble. And remember, they get pushed to pass as well. I do believe they can use it straight away in iRacing. Here we go, we're heading towards the line, and the first race, the first ever series of IndyCar at Next Gen is about to get underway. Now we're racing, and look at that, Alex Meredith already on the grass trying to get past Benji McCluskey straight away as we head towards turn number one. Look, all these cars squabbling around as we head into turn one. Meredith's gone to the middle now, but it's McCluskey who leads into turn number one. Good start from Benji McCluskey as we look above. There's no instance just yet as we look further down the order. That's looking at the midfield, about 10th place, side by side, and they're just tiptoeing their way around. Hopefully they don't have any instance. Ben Altra has had an instant though. He has spun on turn two, I think it was, and this is him in the green car. You can just see there. Let's just see what happened to him before we resume with the pack. It was a bit wide there. Oh, no, there he is. He wasn't in the green car. He's in that car that spun there. And it was just one of those that let go under cold tyres. Meanwhile, back with the racing. Good start to this race for Benji McCluskey. But Alex Meredith with a real strong start. He kept it real close to Benji McCluskey at the start of this race, and he blasted off real quick. And he was able to get it past not Ewan Stitch. He was able to get it past Isaac Doble nice and quickly, who he is down to 7th place as we see. That is on the inside. That is Mark Frederick on the inside of Christophe Demey. But now they're side by side as they head through the chicane here. Heading towards the final corner. Can Christophe Demey get it back to the inside? Going into the final corner. He's going to try it. Leaving a little bit of room on the outside is Mark Frederick. But Mark Frederick's had a brilliant start to this race. He's gained 8 places already. He's on the ultimate softer tyre. And he was really quick in practice as well. So he's already off to a brilliant start. Already on the push to pass. You can see there are a couple of drivers. Benji McCluskey, Isaac Doble, Gavin Gardner. And I think actually push to pass was enabled after lap 1. So as soon as the lap ended, Benji McCluskey was straight on it and used 3 seconds of it right away. But Alex Meredith real close to him, just a couple of tenths behind. He'll be getting a little bit of dirty air as well, which won't be helping on the cold tyres. But he seems nice and comfortable at the moment. That lap he kept real close to McCluskey. And they've stretched away from Ewan Stitch straight away. But remember, Ewan Stitch is on the primary tyre, which is slower at this end of the race, but it will get better as the laps go by. Let's say at top 55 minutes. That is incorrect. It is a 20-minute race. Let's see if we can fix that. Okay. Mark Sykes has had an instant bit further back, and he's going to try and recover to catch up with the pack. But big movers as well. Jamie Dory's had a good start to this race. He's on the primary tyre, but he's gained 4 places, and he's just on the fringes of the top 10 here. He's on the push to pass as well. But just ahead, we have got Toby Deck just ahead of Mark Frederick here, who dives to the inside, going into the final corner. Signature move for Frederick. And he is through and past, but nearly everyone on the grid is out on the push to pass as they head down the main straight. Look at that, Cody Deck is already challenging back at Frederick, who's on the charter. Both Dutch drivers going head to head as we head into turn 1. It's Frederick who's got the better line into turn 1, though. If he can keep it nice and snug to the inside, he'll still get it past. And Christophe Demey, oh, and there's a spin up ahead, and Carl's going slow just up ahead. I think that was Lee Horn who was off on the inside there. He's had a spin or even contact with another driver. Let's see what's happened to Lee Horn heading out of turn number 1. A very colourful next-gen car. Oh, somebody else actually spun ahead. I think that was Christian Yule, actually. And that, Lee Horn couldn't quite avoid that. And that sent him way down the order with a meatball flag, so you'll have to get a fast repair. Likewise, will Nigel Stock. He might have collected that instant. The racing continues. Meredith continues at the top. Isaac Doble has got himself back up to 4th place now as a result of them incidents that happened in front of him. Now Mark Frederick is up 11 places from where he started. Brilliant start to this race. And he's on the alternate tyres. He will want to get through the pack as quickly as possible, and that's what he's done. That's what he's doing. There will come a point in this race where it does drop off the pace. It is a 20-minute race, so it might be the better tyre to be on in this race. However, there is the strategies to think about in the next race. It means that those starting on the alternate, that are on the alternate right now, will have to use the other tyre, the primary, in the next race, at the start of the next race. But they do have to use both compounds in the next race as well. Okay, Jeremy Pronk, Lee Horn in the pits. I think Nigel Stock is trying to make his way there too. Remember, there's bonus points for completing the race as well, so there's value in going back to the pits and not just throwing your toys out the pram and just getting out of the car and leaving. If you get to the end, you still get points, and that can be the difference between winning championships and not winning championships. Lee Horn has just come out of the pits. I think he's got a black flag. He might have been speeding in the pits just then. That's a real big shame for him. Salt in the wounds of what's happened already in this race. Now we've got action back here. This is for 7th place, real close between Christophe Demey and Luca Monroe, just ahead. And I think there was a little bit of contact as well as Demey made contact with the side of Luca Monroe there. But he's still super, super close, heading out of the hairpin there through the chicane, heading towards final corner now. There's a little bit of a queue building up behind of Jamie Dory and Christian Yule. But in this corner, no, Demey's not going to go for the move. He's going to try and get a good exit from the corner. Oh, a little bit wide there, but he'll go straight on to push to pass. But Monroe is on it a little bit quicker. Now, Demey hasn't used any push to pass yet. He's saving it for later in the race. Either that or he hasn't bound the button. Him and Stephen Fry, the only ones who haven't used push to pass yet in this race. No move just yet. Meanwhile, at the front, McCluskey still leads, but less than a second ahead of Alex Meredith. I get the feeling this season might be well and truly close between them two. Now, Ewan Stitch is still not too far behind, and his last lap is about 3/10 slower than the two up front, so the pace might still be coming to Ewan Stitch in 3rd place there. And behind him, he's got the imposing threat of Isaac Doble, who is also on the charge. He was the fastest driver on the track on the last lap. He's also one of the drivers who's used a lot of push to pass already, but to be fair, 200 seconds is quite a lot in a 13-lap race. As that, I think, is Christophe Demey passing Luca Monroe, and let's just get a replay of how that happened. Well, we've had an incident while we've been looking at this replay. We'll go to that. Oh, big dive to the inside of the chicane there, and Luca Monroe even locked up there trying to avoid the big dive bomb there from Christophe Demey, but it's worked, so therefore it goes down as a very, very good pass. Now this is Jeremy Pronk going into turn number 1 on the accelerator. No, just a bit too quick into turn 2, and it's given way underneath him. A miserable race, just going even worse for Jeremy Pronk here. Now we still got, whoa, Christophe Demey and Luca Monroe battling with each other, and somehow Christophe Demey kept hold of that car through turn 1 as it was facing 45 degrees the wrong way. Brilliant close battling between these two. I'm not sure if they'll appreciate themselves, but we can appreciate the close battling here. And meanwhile, behind, Christian Yule and Jamie Dory are probably just saying, you know what, you guys carry on. You'll take yourselves out. You'll take yourselves out eventually. Here we go. Demey's getting close again to Luca Monroe. Monroe did take it back. Oh, and there was a bit of rear end contact then from Demey, but they just about got away with it. Is there going to be another diving move into the chicane? Monroe, no, Monroe's let him have it, and Demey's done the same move yet again, 2 laps on the trot. Brilliant battling from these two. Let's see if Luca Monroe can respond. Christophe Demey. Oh, no, actually, no. Oh, they're going very sideways, heading out the final corner. That's how much they were pushing. Christophe Demey was getting all sideways, shaking side to side, and then Luca Monroe nearly just pinballed it into the wall. He's lost a few positions as a result, but you know what? He'll take that over face planting the wall. But he drops to 10th now as a result. Christian Yule and Jamie Dory gain 1 place each, and they are right on the rear of Christophe Demey, who got all out of shape and lost all momentum on the main straight, the fastest part of the circuit. Oh, meanwhile, Toby Deck is off on the side there. Oh, that's a big impact with the wall. He was doing so well. He was in 6th place, and he's got a heavily damaged car. Let's see what happened to him. Oh, he hits the curbs there really hard, and again. No, it hits the gravel on the outside there, and that's enough to spin him round. That's how sensitive these cars are. And he's limping it back to the pits on 3 wheels. Good going for keeping it going, and with the incentive of bonus points for finishing the race, you've got to keep it going, and that's what they're trying to do. Without being of risk to other drivers, ruining their races. Another big mover in the field at the moment is Ben Altry. Now he's catching up with his battle up ahead, consisting of Yule, Dory and Monroe. He's in 10th place right now, 7 places gained from the start, so a brilliant start to this race for the Full Tilt Racing driver of Ben Altry. A big name in the GT3s as well. On lap 8, Benjamin McCluskey has gapped Alex Meredith a little bit, gained about half a second or more in the last couple of laps, and is at a more comfortable gap now. Now, Benjamin McCluskey knows what it's like to be at the front and in close quarters with drivers such as Meredith. And actually, while we talk about them, someone who's coming off pace now is Ewan Stitch. He set his fastest lap of the race on the last lap, and he's the only driver on the track to set a below 1:32 second lap. So he's quick, and he's going to be gaining on Meredith. He's now below a second behind Meredith, so this is where the tyres have turned around now for the primary tyre selectors, potentially. There's Meredith just in front, and the time is plummeting between these two. So with a couple of laps left, Stitch has got to get past Meredith, and can he even try and catch up with Benji McCluskey? Meredith's struggling here, nowhere near the apex as much as Stitch was. Look how close he's getting, he's on the push to pass as well. Meredith using it to defend himself. As we head towards turn 1, Stitch couldn't quite make the move to the inside because Jeremy Pronk was coming out the pits. No, that was Toby Deck coming out of the pits. But Ewan Stitch is through, past Alex Meredith. And that actually looked rather easy. That whole lap, he just reeled in Meredith. So he was going to go right, was Stitch, but he couldn't because Deck was coming out of the pits. He swipes left. Meredith just understeers away, and Stitch goes through. He knew exactly what's going to happen to Meredith there, and he let it happen. So what can Ewan Stitch do for the rest of this race? He's got 2 seconds to claw on Benji McCluskey. And if you can do that, that'll be an amazing strategy call and an amazing win to this race if you can do that. I was going to say catching is one thing, passing is another. Stitch made it look easy then on Meredith, who's no slouch. Defended rather well, but it was all he could do on the scuffed tyres, it seems, of the alternates. And this tells us a lot about the next race. The next race is a 39-lap race, and we've done 9 so far of this one, and it's already painting the picture for these tyres. Now the rules are they have to use each tyre set at least once. How many times they use each set is up to them. Now Stephen Fry has had an incident there. He is off the track, unfortunately. Let's see what happens. Hits the curb a little bit too hard. The bumps in the inside of the corner have just upset the car. Ewan Stitch now within 1.6 seconds of Benji McCluskey. The last lap from Ewan Stitch was in the 32, so it was a little bit slower. He did have to do some overtaking as well, remember, but he was 3.5 tenths quicker than Benji McCluskey. But credit to Ewan Stitch, he's the only one who switched on those primaries and is contending with the top 5 here, all on alternates. And you've got to give credit to Mark Frederick as well. He's not too far away from the pack ahead of him, although they're not really in a pack, they're all split up a little bit, they're divvied up a little bit. He has stayed in touch of all of them, despite coming through the pack earlier in the race. 11 places gained, to remind you. But Benji McCluskey will have a couple of things tied up already in this race. He does have fastest lap of the race tied up. He has most laps led tied up. And he has pole position. So they are 4 bonus points that are going to him regardless. But the race win points, that's in doubt right now, as nearly below a second. In fact, it's just gone below a second with 3 laps to go in this race. It's on between McCluskey and Stitch, and you know what? Oh no, McCluskey got very out of shape going through turn number 1 there. I think this is Ewan Stitch for the taking here. Look at that time plummet. There's such twisty corners here, and those alternates are really struggling right now. We've had some battling further down in the pack between Gavin Gardner, Ben Altria, Jamie Dory and Christian Yule. We'll go back to that shortly. But we have got the battle for the lead intensifying here. Isaac Doble, look at his push to pass. He's already used well over 3/4 of it. Now you can use all 200 seconds of it in this race. There's no saying you can't. But you will definitely want to save some for the playoffs, as they say, the final few laps of this race. If you are in a battle, and Isaac Doble's getting closer and closer to Alex Meredith. We'll have to keep an eye on that as well. There is Isaac Doble chasing down Meredith. Now, Isaac Doble did start this race in 2nd place, so he'll feel he'll want to get back something from this race, be that a podium. We've also got a big battle going on for 8th place, as far down as Ben Altria in 11th. Now, Christophe Demey and Stephen Fry haven't used their push to pass yet, and I'm wondering if they've bound the button. Oh, look at that! Benji McCluskey getting a little bit wide at turn 1, and Ewan Stitch is just able to plaster it to the inside of the corners here. Look at Benji McCluskey, he's having to take different lines through the corner, and Ewan Stitch is just swamping him into this sector of the track. He's got to pick his move, he's got 2 laps to do it, and Stitch has got the upper hand of grip. If McCluskey is the one who's got to keep an eye on the rear view mirror. Ewan Stitch just has to line up the right move to do it. He can win this race. Which of these two is going to be our first ever Next Gen Racing IndyCar race winner? Already on the defensive is Benji McCluskey. He's trying to keep it as close as he can to the curbs to guard the inside of these corners to try and not let Ewan Stitch get an up and under move. You can just see McCluskey's heading into the apex of the coin, then understeering away, whereas Ewan Stitch is able to pick his lines. The grip is just much more reliable for him. Benji McCluskey is going to be straight on that push to pass button as they will come through the line to start the final lap. You'll see the white flag. There we go. Benji McCluskey is straight on push to pass. As soon as he's on the accelerator, so is Ewan Stitch. But Stitch has got the advantage of slipstream as well. Here we go into turn number 1. He'll take to the outside. No, he won't. He'll dummy it to the inside. Now McCluskey's gone wide and Stitch will go through into first place. Our new leader of the race on the final lap is now Ewan Stitch, and McCluskey could only try there. He could only try, but the tyres have let him down. Behind McCluskey there is a back marker. Not to worry much about them. But there we go, our new race leader on the final lap of the race with brilliant heroics and brilliant driving on the primary tyres. And it must be said, a fantastic move for the lead. Took to the outside, switched it to the inside at the very last possible moment and made it work. Excellent move. Isaac Doble is close to Alex Meredith. I feel like it might be not enough to complete it for the end of this race. But here is our eventual race winner here. Maybe 5 laps ago you wouldn't have had this down as your race winning driver and car, but it is now, and it's told us a lot about the difference between these two tyres this early on in the season, or especially this early on in the night. Ewan Stitch is going to come through as our first ever IndyCar race winner at the Next Gen Racing Championship. Takes the checkered flag. Benji McCluskey, our pole sitter, comes through in second place, and third place will be Alex Meredith from Isaac Doble in fourth, and the biggest gainer of the field, 11 places gained throughout that race for Mark Frederick, coming through in 5th position. That was actually a very fun race, it must be said. Really enjoyed that. Seeing the difference between all these tyres is fascinating at this point. But of course, in the next race, those who've done this race on the alternates will have to start the next race on the primary tyres, and those who did this race on the primary tyres will have to start on the alternates. So Ewan Stitch advantage will go the other way, but the difference is in the next race, pit stops will come into play because the fuel tank will do about 25 minutes, and the next race is 60 minutes. So there'll be, I feel like there'll be 2-stop strategies, and there'll be some drivers trying to make all the 1-stop maybe. Don't know how much quicker that's going to be, if at all. But that's what we're looking at in the next race. A 60-minute race, as we mentioned. And we will have a qualifying session to go before that as well. It will be a 10-minute session. All drives on the track at once. But they must do the qualifying session, that is, in the tyres that they haven't finished this race on. So Ewan Stitch, our race winner. Brilliant final lap to go with it. We'll have a look at those final lap heroics from him very shortly, of course. But Ewan Stitch is our race winner here by 1.3 seconds from Benji McCluskey. Alex Meredith in third position with Isaac Doble in fourth. Mark Frederick, biggest gainer of the field, moves up to 5th place by the end of this race, and Christophe DeMay, who we saw a lot on the screens in this race, finishes 6th place in the end. Jamie Dory, 7th position from Christian Yule in 8th. Luca Monroe, in amongst the battles we saw a lot in this race, is 9th. Gavin Gardner, the host of this series, rounds off the top 10. Ben Altra finishes 11th from Phil McDougall in 12th, Paul Williams in 13th, Stephen Fry in 14th, Carl Thompson in 15th from Lewis Mason, Mark Sykes in 17th, and Jeremy Pronk rounds off the top 18. And we also have Nigel Stock, Toby Deck, and Lee Horn, who will round off the finishers. Well, let's go to a replay of that final lap move that secured the win for our race winner. Here we go, he lines it up on the left, and look at this, he just switches as soon as the braking zone approaches. Now, he let McCluskey have it ahead, but because he knew he was on the worn tyres, he just knew that he was going to be able to glue it to the apex, was Ewan Stitch. And he just knew that McCluskey was going to be able to understeer it off, because he saw on the previous lap that McCluskey wasn't able to keep it nice and tight to the inside. But McCluskey basically said to him, you have inside or left. Let him pick. And he did go for both, really. Right, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's been the opening race of the night. We've got a qualifying session coming up next after a short break, which will be approximately 10 or 15 minutes. When we come back, it will be the qualifying session of 10 minutes to set the grid for race 2. And race 2 will be a 39-lap race, approximately 1 hour will be that race. Don't go away, we'll be back very shortly with more IndyCar racing here on Next Gen Racing at Mugello Racecourse. We'll see you soon.
Hello and welcome to NXTGEN Racing, the home of clean and fair sim racing for all.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the IndyCar series hosted by NXTGEN Racing, live here from Mugello Racecourse in Italy. Round one of the championship, as we mentioned, from the Mugello course in Italy. Not traditionally an IndyCar circuit, but it will be round one of this opening round of the opening season of this championship here at NXTGEN Racing. And a shout out has to go out to the partner, sponsors and affiliates that help run the show here at NXTGEN Racing, and they include PowerMax Racing, Mark Sykes Designs, Benji Sim Photos, Motorsport UK Esports, Sam Cases, Moser Racing, Joyce Design, P1.com and Falconer PC. This is a 10-round calendar that we're going to see for the next 20 weeks as we lead up to the end of the year, the weeks running up to Christmas. We're starting off here at Mugello tonight, and then in 2 weeks from today we'll be back with round two of the championship, which will be hosted at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, of course home of the infamous Indy 500. That'll be our second round of the championship and our first oval round of the championship, a 90-minute race around the Indianapolis Speedway. Fantastic venue to start off our oval ventures here at NXTGEN Racing with IndyCars. Then we back to road course racing with round three at Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. Round four hosted in Japan for the Twin Ring Motegi Grand Prix circuit. Monza hosts round five of the championship, the Grand Prix course, of course, not the oval there. But we are back to oval straight after Monza. It will be the Phoenix Raceway, yet to be confirmed new or legacy circuit from Phoenix. And after that second of three oval rounds of the season, we'll be spending a week in the Algarve. For round 7 of the championship, the Algarve Portimão circuit in southern Portugal. Round 8 of the championship, we're back to Indianapolis, back home to Indiana. It'll be the road course, though, for round 8 of the championship. Round 9 will be the final oval course of the season, and that'll be hosted at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Not traditionally an IndyCar oval in real life, definitely not, but on iRacing is quite popular. It's flat-out racing, high-banked, side-by-side, close racing, and that'll end our season and the start of December. And then the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, the small circuit on the island, on the Ile of Notre Dame in Montreal, will host round 10 of the championship, the final round of the championship on the 15th of December, 4 months away. And we're here at Mugello tonight, the 5.19 kilometre circuit in central Italy, the Scarperia e San Piero, Florence part of Tuscany in middle Italy. And of course, Mugello is most popular with MotoGPs, but it has also hosted Formula 1. I don't think it's ever hosted kart or IndyCar. I could be corrected on the kart fact, but I haven't looked that up tonight. So tonight we are racing IndyCars. We've had the qualifying one already and the race one, which was the sprint race of 20 minutes. We'll be having an open qualifying session of 10 minutes in just half a minute time. And then after that will be a 1 hour feature race, 39 laps, where there will be multiple strategies, multiple pit stops, plenty of action, plenty of overtaking if race one was anything to go by. Looking forward to it indeed. But we've got to set the grid for that race first of all, and we'll be getting ready for that very shortly. It will be an open session for qualifying 2. The drivers out there right now just getting used to the tyres that they'll be running the next race on. Here we go, we're going to get ready for qualifying now. And all out on the track at the same time. It won't be quite like qualifying 1, where we were switching between cars that were not in existence with one another. Drivers head out onto the track right now for qualifying 2, and after all the hype that was race 1 we just saw there with a fantastic finish between Benjamin McCluskey and Ewan Stitch being our opening race winner of the night, Fantastic finish to the race, which saw heading into turn 1 on the final lap after seeing the white flag, Ewan Stitch making a dummy move from left to right to put McCluskey offline and take the lead of the race and move on to win it. But let's see how he gets on in this one. Now, he did opt to go with the primary hard black sidewall tyre in the previous race, which is the slower tyre to use in qualifying and earlier on in the race. But as we saw after about lap 8, it became the quickest tyre on the track. So he'll start this race on the reds, but the advantage with that means he can pick his strategy of when he moves off those reds, which are clearly not quite the better tyre for the longer runs, which we're going to get in this race. We're going to get, I think most drivers are going to need to do 2 stops in this race, and whether they go long on the fuel tank or whether they go and do 3 shorter stints, that's up to them, and that might be what the splitting strategy is across the majority of the field. We're going to see a lot of drivers pitting on different laps, is my prediction. Benjamin McCluskey's on the primary tyre now. He'll see what Ewan Stitch did in the previous race. He'll learn from that. He'll know what to do for this race. And I just wonder if that opening race might have set up the precedent for the rest of the season, where drivers will pick the alternate tyre, the primary tyre for the other races this season. But the thing is, Mugello is quite intense on the tyres as well. There's a lot of sharp left and right corners on this circuit, a lot of twists and turns, whereas other corners or whatever tracks on this calendar, Donington Park is a little bit less intense on the tyres, a lot more straights. Twin Ring Motegi is quite intense on the tyres. Monza is a little bit less intense on the tyres. Algarve is a bit of a tyre killer. Indianapolis a bit in between, and Gilles Villeneuve, the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, is going to be a bit of a tyre killer as well. And there's also track temperature on all of those tracks as well to consider. Of course, if we're basing this off realistic weather, which this series does, it's going to get colder later on in the season for a lot of these tracks. Of course, we're in the heat of summer right now, and especially in the middle of Italy, that's going to be quite hot. Now, on the track right now, they are only on their first flying lap. Now, the difference between the previous session and this one is their first lap, or their first flying lap, is not the one that counts. But Mark Frederick, of all of those, is purple in both sectors at the moment. And he is again in the third. And he'll go to the top of the standings on a 1:30.8, which is quite an impressive time, actually, compared to the race lap times. And the first qualifying session really did fly by so much that it was quite hard to track what the lap times actually were in that race. So I'm basing this off the race times instead. But as more and more drivers set their opening laps, I do feel like times will get quicker in the next few laps, particularly those on the primary tyre. I'm getting confused. Yeah, primary tyres, the harder tyres, their times will come in later on in the session, but they have only got 10 minutes to do this. So it doesn't necessarily mean the primaries are going to be quicker, and even when they do get up to temperature, they're not as quick as the alternates at their peak temperature. So those on the alternates right now really do need to get in the good laps nice and quick. Mark Frederick, a second quicker than anyone right now. Benjamin McCluskey is still setting a lap, so is Ewan Stitch, so is Isaac Doble. They were very quick in the previous session. Switch to our race 1 winner. Not very good splits there. It was a invalid lap actually from Ewan Stitch, so he'll have to go again. He is on the alternate, so he's going to need to put in that lap very, very soon. Half the session is gone already. Phil McDougall puts himself on the board into 6th place in the beautiful black and green CXR livery, which I've known for many, many years. I've seen that livery in many series. Very good times there from Christophe Demey. He puts himself into the top spot. He's on the faster alternate tyres, and he goes between 3 and 4 tenths quicker than Mark Frederick, straight into the pits, and that is a black flag for, I think he reset his car and he wasn't allowed to. I think that's what it was anyway. Gavin Gardner with a good lap. He's in 3rd place there. Nigel Stock in 4th place. Now, he had a miserable race 1 where he was caught up in an incident earlier on in the race, and that pretty much ruined his sprint race, but he'd be able to recover in this one. And 4th place right now is looking good for him with less than 4 minutes to go. Benji McCluskey, I think, has been spending this time warming up his tyres, his primary tyres, getting them up to a very good temperature, and now he's basically going to boot it and go for it for 2 flying laps, it seems. No, he's going into the pits. That's interesting. We've also got Alex Meredith not setting particularly quick laps right now on the primary tyres. These guys not setting quick times compared to others anyway. Mark Frederick in 2nd place. Isaac Doble in 5th. Ewan Stitch has set a time. He's put himself into 4th place on the alternate tyres. Only 2 drivers at the moment in the 1 minute 30s, and one of them is Christophe Demey, and he's at a 1:30.5, which is a blistering lap time. More than half a second quicker than Gavin Gardner at the moment. McCluskey is back out on the track. Alex Meredith, he's just ahead. It's interesting to see what these guys are up to. Remember, I know I keep mentioning it, but just to anyone that is joining the live stream, they have to use different tyre sets to what they used in the sprint race. The drivers on fast laps now, and the alternates might have dropped off already. Let's see what Alex Meredith and Benji McCluskey can do with what's looking like 1 remaining lap they'll be able to do. And of course, if they can't quite get the primaries up to temperature within 10 minutes, it might well set the precedent that for the rest of the season, a lot of these drivers will go for using the primaries in the sprint race to start off, and then they'll be able to qualify with the alternates in this session, which, with the exception of Mark Frederick, is the better tyre to go with. And of course, they're on fixed setups as well, so there's nothing you can do to the setup of the car to change anything, to make them quicker, to make them more adapted to the tyres. I think it's going to be 1 lap, and only 1 lap for Benji McCluskey, whereas Alex Meredith might be able to squeeze another in. Ewan Stitch on a very good first split, not such a good second split. I think drivers are struggling now at this part of the session. And the time is about to expire, so drivers will cross the line soon. It'll be the final time they can set a time. There we go, the checkered flag is out now. Lee Horn will not get to the flag in time. He will settle for 11th. Ewan Stitch will cross the line. He'll settle for 4th. Isaac Doble settles for 5th. What about Alex Meredith? This is his one and only shot. And he puts himself in 7th position with that one and only lap that he realistically set. But Benji McCluskey with a very good final sector. He's put himself into 4th, but look at Christophe de May. No, look at Christophe de May. He's spinning on the final corner. He was blisteringly quick in splits 1 and 2, with purple sectors beating his own brilliant time. But on the final corner, cooked it and spins on the exit. That would have been a very, very impressive time at the end of the session there. But he's pole position anyway. He doesn't have to worry, and there's no one else that I think is going to come through and beat that time. Just keep an eye on the times just in case anything happens. But Christophe de May is going to be our pole sitter for race 2 of the night. Very interesting indeed. This is a very different order in qualifying to what we saw in the previous qualifying session, where there was only a 1-lap dash. So this really tosses up the grid quite a bit. Not like a reverse grid, but a very randomized grid almost. Takes me back to my karting days where they used to do randomized grids for the heats. I hated that. Oh, and Jamie Dory does put in a clutch lap towards the end. He puts it into 7th place in the final moments of qualifying there. Brilliant stuff from him. But Toby Deck is still yet to... Well, I was going to say still yet to come through. He's currently beached on the gravel there. So no time from Toby Deck. And one driver hasn't joined the session for race 2. So it's going to be a 20-car grid as opposed to 21. It's a bit of a shame. But I believe this is our grid for race number 2. Christophe de May taking pole position, and we'll take the 2 bonus points that'll come with it. So there's 1 bonus point for getting pole in the sprint race, but 2 for this one. And there's double bonus points for fastest lap, double bonus points for most laps led, times 2.5 bonus points for joining the race, and times 2.5 for completing the race. So it is very, very important that you get those additional 10 points in for completing and joining the race. But let's move on to the grid for this final and second race of the night, the first feature race that we're going to have in the IndyCar series hosted by NXTGEN Racing. Christophe de May, the Frenchman, will start on pole position, with the Dutchman Mark Frederick starting in 2nd place. It's an all-British Row 2 of Gavin Gardner, the host of the series, with alongside the most successful driver on Thursday night in GT3, Benji McCluskey, looking for redemption from that loss of the race. To 2nd place he went in race 1. Ewan Stitch, the winner of race 1, he'll start 5th in race 2 here. Isaac Doble, 6th position, from Jamie Dory in 7th position. Nigel Stock looking for a much better race 2, is in 8th. Alex Meredith in 9th position, with Ben Altritt in 10th. Christian Yule 11th, with Luca Monroe alongside in 12th position. 13th position will go to Phil McDougall, with Lee Horn in 14th, Paul Williams 15th from Lewis Mason in 16th, Jeremy Pronk 17th from Carl Thompson 18th, Mark Sykes 19th, and Toby Deck in 20th. This will be our second race of the night. It's going to be a 39-lap race, the equivalent of 1 hour around the Mugello here. There's going to be plenty of pit stops, and there's going to be plenty of action, and plenty of drama, and plenty of strategy to keep an eye on as well. So the drivers will move off and get ready for the start of this race. They'll follow the safety car around for 1 whole lap yet again. And this warm-up lap will be a little bit less about warming up the tyres. This warm-up lap will be more about thinking about how the race is going to go. The most prepared of the drivers will have a strategy in their head. They'll done the testing, they've known how many laps they can run on the alternates, how many laps they can run on the primary tyres, how long a fuel stint lasts. I'm told approximately 25 minutes. And with this being a 60-minute race, could that mean we're going to get some tactical fuel saving from any of these drivers, or they're just going to go hell for leather and go for a 2-stop race? All to be found out. Now, one driver I do know is very good at fuel saving in the GT3 series is Benji McCluskey. Always was a bit of a tyre and fuel whisperer. I could always go extra laps beyond what others could in that series. But in the IndyCar series, can you make that as effective? guess we're going to find out in the next 1 hour or so. So whilst the drivers are heading round on their formation lap, a reminder of the calendar we've got. 2 weeks from today, we're going to be back on Next Gen Racing TV on YouTube and Facebook. Please give us a like, follow and or subscribe, however you are watching it from either of those two channels. We'll be back in 2 weeks from today for our first oval race of the season. Now, there's a lot of drivers here who won't prefer the road courses as much as they'll prefer the ovals, and there'll be vice versa. So that is really going to throw a cat amongst the pigeons, those oval races. So keep an eye on those races. There's going to be nice action in them, and side-by-side action as well. Of course, Indianapolis is next. That is the mecca of oval racing when it comes to IndyCar. Of course, keep an eye on other series that are happening at Next Gen Racing. The NXTGEN is going to go into its 11th season very soon. And the GT3 is going to go into its 10th season very, very soon. I won't be commentating it, unfortunately. But keep an eye on Next Gen Racing. And, of course, you can keep an eye on all of the information and announcements that come your way from Next Gen Racing via their Discord group. If you go into the description of this video, that's whether you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook, you'll find a link to our Discord group. There you'll join the Discord, meet all the drivers, meet all the admins, and you'll see all the announcements. That is Next Gen Racing and its series. All leagues are currently on iRacing for the moment. There's Touring Car Leagues, GT3 Leagues, and now IndyCar Leagues. Of course, there's also real-life racing drivers that compete in all of these leagues as well. So you can get in amongst the real-life legends, including Mikey Double in the NXTGEN, a regular driver in that series. Okay, so we're heading towards final corner here. Front row is Christophe Demey and Mark Frederick. Very quick in qualifying. This is a long race we've got ahead of us. The number 15 car will lead us to the line. And when the lights go green, or when the lights go out, shall we say, they can floor it. And they'll be away with this long race here to complete the line. And away we go. And it's not actually a good start from Christophe Demey. Oh, and there's already a car off on the side, but they're able to keep it going. I think that was Benji McCluskey. No, it wasn't. He's making a move for first place against Isaac Doble. That was a very scrappy start from Mark Frederick and Christophe Demey, who are already dropping positions, but already in front and in the lead is Isaac Doble, but fighting back straight away is Mark Frederick. Back here, that's Ewan, Stitch and Benji McCluskey side by side again, like they were just before the final lap on the previous race. Very scrappy start there, but a lot of drivers getting on the power very quickly and getting themselves to the front. One of them is Isaac Doble. He's on the primary tyres at the moment, so being at the front on the primary tyres this early on is definitely a good thing. Now, what does Ewan Stitch do on the alternate tyres? He's on the tyre that is faster right now. Can get himself through the pack as quick as he can and build a gap, and then you'll think about the rest of the race maybe. But Christophe Demey down to 5th place already from the start. I'm just not sure what happened. I think everyone else was just much faster on the throttle. Doble, good start to this race. 6/10 clear, and at the front he goes. He did start second in the previous race, but he dropped down the order and he ended up finishing 4th place. He leads the opening lap of the race here. Already on push to pass is Benji McCluskey. Used 3 seconds on the straight just then, just to keep it a little bit away from his rival in the previous race, Ewan Stitch behind. Luca Monroe has just made a move on Alex Meredith, I think. Alex Meredith not having quite as good a race so far compared to previous. He's dropped 2 places already in this race. Ben Altra is gained 3, 7th place right now. He's passed Gavin Gardner for that 7th spot. And he's hunting down Nigel Stock just ahead. But Isaac Doble, along with Toby Deck, is the biggest mover so far, 5 places gained. And that was all at the start of the race for Isaac Doble. Now, drivers will be a little bit calmer on this race. Oh, a bit of gravel on the tyres there for Isaac Doble. That's going to affect his grip a little bit for the next few corners. But yeah, drivers going to be a little bit calmer here as we see Lee Horn off the track there. Not a good start to his championship, unfortunately. He's been in the wars in both races so far. But I think with the dirty tyres there, he's just going to struggle to get it back up to speed. But I think drivers will be a little bit calmer in this race, or will they? We'll find out. Ewan Smith is not wasting any time. He's having a go at Benji McCluskey again here. Oh, and there's a car off in the background, I think. I think that was Jamie Dory who was off in the background. Yeah, it was. Let's just see what happened to Jamie Dory. Into the final corner, locks it up, and contact, I think, with Luca Monroe, sends him off. I don't think there was much either driver could have done about that, but that sent Jamie off into the kitty litter, and he's got a big fight back to do in this race now to make anything of it. But 39 laps, plenty of laps in this race. Okay, so the front 3 on primary tyres, then the next 3, 4, 5 and 6 on alternate tyres. Ewan Stitch now getting close to Benji McCluskey again. He'll have much more grip at this point in the race, but the grip will drop off in around about 5 laps, as we saw from race 1. Benji McCluskey on the push to pass again, heading out of the final corner. Ewan Stitch not using his push to pass yet. Now, much longer race, so you've got to conserve it a lot more. I suppose in 39 laps, you'll want to use less than 50 per 10 laps. And that means you've got to use no more than 5 per lap. So you really have to ration it. And use it where best. Now, Ewan Stitch all over the rear of Benji McCluskey here. And likewise, Mark Frederick is real close to Isaac Doble at the front. These have also got to worry about Christophe de May there as well, and Nigel Stock's not too far off the back of these either. And there's going to be a crossover period with that primary tyre hooks up, and it might well just start pulling away from the alternate tyres. If I were in the alternates and I saw what happened in race 1, that'd be the point where I get off those tyres and probably stick to the primaries for the rest of the race, and that's even if you've got enough fuel to get to the end. Realistically, if you can get beyond 10 minutes in this race, you can then do stop and then do one more to finish off the race. That's what I've been told on the grapevine. Benji McCluskey is using that push to pass already, and already into the pits goes Christophe de May. He's on the alternate tyres, so he knows he needs to get rid of them soon, but he's got rid of them rather quickly here, assuming he is going to switch over to them. Assuming he is going to switch over to the primaries right away. That promotes Nigel Stock up to 5th place. He's a second behind the drivers ahead. But with maybe what's remaining in those alternate tyres can probably close up a little bit further, closer or further to the drivers ahead. But they're not making many risks at the front here. Mark Frederick not making any moves. Neither is Ewan Stitch back here, although he might be trying, and it might be that the primaries are switching on whilst the alternates are switching off. Christophe Demey is back out on the track and he's the first to have pitted. Here we've got Paul Williams versus Ben Altria. Nice little battle going on for 11th place there. This is how Paul Williams did it. And by the way, none of the drivers at the front went into the pits just then. And actually, Paul Williams just making his way past Ben Altria. It looked like he was recovering from a spin then. Toby Deck has had a real good start to this race. He didn't manage to set a lap in qualifying, but he has gained a lot of places. He's gained from 20th to 10th so far in this race, so a real good start here for him. Let's see how much of the rest of the race he can make good. Still real close between this top four. Nigel Stock is just slipping off a little bit here. He's got a little bit of a healthy gap to Gavin Gardner behind. Stitch still hanging on to the back of these three primary tyre drivers, and actually all of them at the front on that last lap were very close to one another on times. Isaac Doble was the slowest of them, but second, third and fourth were within 12 hundredths of a second. Benjamin McCluskey's using a lot of that push to pass. But other drivers are using more. Christian Yule in 8th place has nearly used a quarter. And actually, while we talk about them, whoa, that was that was very close. And Alex Meredith getting back onto the racing line to guard the inside for turn number 1. And we've got our next driver to come into the pit. On the primaries, nice and early, is Ben Altria. Now, he might have had a little bit of damage, and that might be why he's pitting, getting himself fast repair, and can have a nice clean car out on the track. Thing is, with these alternate tyres, how far do you go on them actually when you only want to get 2 stops in this race? So with there being about 25 minutes on a fuel tank, that's around about, I'm going to make that 10 laps maybe? No, it's a little more than race 1, isn't it? It's going to be about 15 laps, actually. Yeah, my maths previously were terrible there. It's around about 15 laps, maybe a little bit more. So I'd say the pit window is open now for the alternate tyre drivers to come off it. But if you're Ewan Stitch right now, you're keeping up with the drivers ahead of you. Why switch off them? You know, when you start slipping away, that might be the time to come into the pit. You've also got to think about overcuts and undercuts as well when dealing with these tyre decisions. But if we look towards the front, that's Mark Frederick really close to Isaac Doble heading into turn number 1, and behind it's Constantina in up with McCluskey and Stitch as well. Isaac Doble might be struggling a little bit here. Mark Frederick real close to the back. And that's Alex Meredith making another move. His tyres have come to light now. He's up to 7th place already in this race. Jeremy Pronk is in the pits, and so is Lee Horn. No moves from this top 4. So let's just check in on the drivers that have pitted. Those bottom 5 there, and Lee Horn with a black flag. That might have been speeding in the pits, unfortunately for him. What a miserable night he's having, unfortunately for him. But Christophe Demey is the leader of those that have pitted, and he pitted quite early on lap 4. It does mean that he might be a little bit on the bobble when it comes to fuel. And Altria pitted on 6, as we can see, and Jeremy Pronk on 7. Close again between these, and they're all starting to use their push to pass, and taking to the outside goes Mark Frederick on Isaac Doble. Can he hang it around the outside? I don't think he can. Isaac Doble has kept it nice and snug. Oh, and he goes out of shape, actually. And look at that. McCluskey gets right up to the rear, but Mark Frederick back alongside, and he stays on the outside. He couldn't get it to the inside on the optimal line. Isaac Doble lucky to hang on to that there, as he very nearly either binned it or lost the lead then. I just wonder if Isaac Doble has used those tyres a little bit too hard too early in the race, whilst others have just maintained their tyres a little bit more. Ewan Stitch is dropping off the back here. He is going a little bit slower than these. That last lap he was 2/10 slower than this 3. Gavin Gardner has also been in the pits. He's come out of the pits in front of Christophe de May as well, so that bodes really well for the front pack here, who might be comparing themselves on the relative to Christophe de May, who was running just behind them before the stop, so that's looking very good for these 4. Where again, it's bunching up nice and tight, and Ewan Smith is getting back on them on this lap. Isaac Doble with a dream start to this race. He's got cars all in his mirror now as we start lap 10 of this race. To the outside goes Benji McCluskey on Mark Frederick, and Mark Frederick's trying to find his way alongside. He's 3 wide going into turn number 1. McCluskey on the outside, trying to power it all the way on the outside on the marbles, but he's not going to have any grip out there. And Mark Frederick thought about going to the inside of Doble then, but he couldn't. McCluskey was there, and he's taken second place away. Fantastic move from Benji. Went wide at turn 1, but recovered it great on the exit there for turn 2. That's 1 done for McCluskey, and can he get Doble done soon? But Doble has actually extended the gap in front a little bit, with McCluskey squabbling with Frederick just a tad on the start of this lap. And that all is going to help the likes of Gavin Gardner, who's making his way past Mark Sykes right now, who's got a clear track kind of around him. He's going to be able to claw away some time on this top 4. Oh, that's a spin from Mark Frederick. The car just completely let go of him, heading out the chicane. Let's see what happened to him. I'm pretty sure the car just let go of him. Yep, he wasn't quite on the ideal racing line. Just gives way on the outside of the corner there. That has lost him a lot of time, unfortunately. It does put Stock and Meredith up into the top 5 now. Now, Benji McCluskey is real close to Isaac Doble. Benji McCluskey on the tyre. I think it will suit him. He's one of those drivers that is really good at the endurance runs and the long stints. And on the outside of Isaac Doble, he's going to have the inside from the next corner here. Can Doble hang on to it? Yes, he can. He'll fight back at the next corner. McCluskey has to concede that. That was brilliant attempt from McCluskey. Brilliant defending equally from Isaac Doble then. But this is going to slow them down. This is going to help out Gavin Gardner and Christophe de May, who've already stopped and might well be able to get an undercut on them once these guys decide to pit. We might not be far away from stops, you know. Let's see how long we'd be going in this race. 16 minutes so far. Our limit is 1 hour 15. That's what that means at the top. That's in case we get a lot of safety cars or anything like that. Credit to Ewan Stitch. The tyres, the alternates, now they will be getting a little bit scuffed, but he is still hanging on to this top 2 here. Benji McCluskey has already used... Well, actually, Benji McCluskey has used it quite well, actually. We're over a quarter of the way through the race, and he's used just over a quarter of his push to pass. So he's actually using it quite wisely. But others around him have got plenty more than him. Gavin Gardner is first of those that have stopped. To the outside again goes Benjamin McCluskey. Can't quite make the move work there again. Luca Monroe is into the pits. He's next to stop Gavin Gardner. He'll make his way past. But he's the one to look out for up against the top four. We've got the drivers on the alternate tyres here, who I think will be next to pit. Mark Sykes was also in the pits then. But Nigel Stock has got a little bit of trouble here from Alex Meredith and Mark Frederick. And already Alex Meredith's making the move on Nigel Stock. And if our camera would use the right cameras, he's through. And also Mark Frederick is going to be through on Nigel Stock. I don't think Nigel Stock is trying to fight too much with these guys. He's just trying to have his own race here. Through goes Frederick and Meredith, who these two may well just work together a little bit to claw away at the top three. And speaking of top three, Ewan Stitch is in the pits, and these two are side by side again. That is Benjamin McCluskey past Isaac Doble now. Doing it on the main straight, it seems. But pulling the trigger are the alternate tyre drivers, except for Christian Yuell, actually. He stayed out. But Ewan Stitch and Nigel Stock have come into the pits. They'll get off those alternates, get onto those primaries, and presumably they'll run them for the rest of the race. However, these guys who have run the opening laps here on the primaries, they have to use the alternates again at some point in this race. Now, do they do that next, or do they do that last? Some drivers will probably try and get the primary going on the second stint and get that as far as they can go, and then use the alternate for as little time as possible for the end while it's still good. I think the alternate stays good for around about 9 or 10 laps, and then for laps 11, 12 and 13 where it can still do anything, it's not very good. That's what we're noticing here at Mugello anyway. It could be completely different our next road course, which is going to be Donington Park. And of course, the next race at Indianapolis, there are no tyre compounds, all on one compound, and it's all about fuel saving, overtaking. Oval racing is a completely different kettle of fish. Now, driver that's used a lot of their push to pass already. Now, I do realise that the push to pass indicator, like how much you've got, is quite difficult to see in these IndyCars, and I don't know if Carl Thompson has purposely used a lot here, but only 23 seconds left and a long time left to go in this race. He's doing alright. He's gained 6 places so far, so it's working. Christian Yuell in the pits. He's one of the last drivers to come off the alternate tyre onto the primary. Now, Jamie Dory has not pitted yet. He's still out on the alternates right now. He's just making it go as long as he can, and that way he can pick and choose how he uses the primaries for the rest of the race. He has gone a third of the race distance, so that's a tick, I suppose, in that sense. You can run 2/3 of the race on alternate tyres and primary tyres and not worry about degradation. So Benji McCluskey leads this race. And if you look here, this is not the exact drop in time because they've got the speeding up and slowing down for pit lane. But it's around about 38 seconds lost in the pits. You can see Ewan Stitch there, 35 seconds down, which kind of proves it. And he did come out of the pits in front of Christophe Demay, so they did manage to maintain their pace quite well at the front, did McCluskey, Doble and Ewan Stitch. But now we've got the waiting game of all the strategies to kind of blend together, and Carl Thompson, as we were just talking about his push to pass, he's used them all now, so he must not have been aware of how much he had to use. Jamie Dory, all the meanwhile, has only used 1 second of his. Very interesting to see the different tactics of what drivers do with their push to pass. Benji McCluskey has used quite a bit of his. Ewan Stitch, who was on the tyre that was arguably the slowest in this race at the moment, hasn't used much, so he's got plenty to use on these prime tyres that he'll use for the rest of the race now. Okay, so a little rundown of our order. We won't be that far away from these guys coming to the pits because they'll just keep these primary tyres going as long as they can. And by the way, Jamie Dory now in the pits to get off those alternate tyres. McCluskey leads our race from Isaac Doble, just less than a second behind. And Isaac Doble led the start of this race with a brilliant start. But McCluskey took it away from him just a couple of laps ago. Mark Frederick did have a half spin, 3/4 of a spin, a couple of laps ago, and he dropped off from the top 2. What will be top 3 potentially with Ewan Stitch involved as well. He's third at the moment with Alex Meredith, not too far behind. Alex Meredith, who was very much involved in the top of the order in the previous race, finishing third in the sprint race. Paul Williams, who has not pitted yet either. He's one of those top 5 that haven't. Ewan Stitch is the leader of the drivers that have been in the pits. He's 6th right now. Christophe Demay, the pole sitter for this race, a blistering pole lap, but wasn't able to convert it to leading off the line, as this is Isaac Doble in the pits. So is Alex Meredith, but Benji McCluskey and Mark Frederick carry on. Now I wonder if Isaac Doble is trying to get in early so you can try an undercut on Benji McCluskey when he eventually decides to pit. The thing is, these primary tyres, they have slipped off a little bit, but not probably that much. In fact, I'm looking at... Yeah, McCluskey's pace has dropped off by around about half a second, maybe more. But really not that much more. Isaac Doble rejoins, and it is just ahead of Ewan Stitch here. Now, Isaac Doble has gone back out onto the track on the alternate tyres, so he is going to be rapid at the start of this stint once the tyres get up to temp, because Ewan Stitch is all over the rear of him right now, who has his primary tyres warmed up. But Isaac Doble might be able to cook as soon as those tyres are up to temp. Now, there's plenty of heads-up display units and plenty of digital tools that these drivers can use nowadays to see what tyres others are using. McCluskey might well know right now that Isaac Doble is on the faster, softer tyre now as he comes into the pits, as he might have been at the end of his fuel cycle anyway. Likewise does Mark Frederick. So this is going to be interesting to see if Isaac Doble does repass Benji McCluskey. He's not pulling away from Ewan Stitch just yet, and Ewan Stitch is hanging on very, very well. Benji McCluskey's leaving his box right now. Isaac Doble will be on the push to pass just to make it all the more possible. McCluskey leaves the box and leaves the pits, and he's actually a long way clear of Isaac Doble right now. I wonder if Benji McCluskey put a little bit less fuel in. No, he was in the box less time. So I think McCluskey's in-lap was better than Isaac Doble's out-lap. There's a second between them, so that's been well executed from Benji McCluskey. Actually, Benji McCluskey is still warming up his tyres, and on this part of the circuit where having warm tyres is absolutely crucial. Isaac Doble is actually reeling in Benji McCluskey right now. Back down to half a second. And Isaac Doble, this will be his second full lap on these tyres, and they will be up to temperature now, and you can see already he's pulled away from Ewan Stitch here. On the push to pass, all three of them. Benji McCluskey will be doing it to defend himself from Isaac Doble. Doble was still on it a little bit longer than McCluskey, we could see there. But not enough to make a move going into turn one. Oh, he did take a little bit of a look. So let's take a look at other drivers on the grid who are doing some good things. Toby Deck, one of the Dutchmen in the field, one of the 3 Dutchmen in the field, has moved up 8 places. He's the biggest mover of the field. He's up to 12th place right now. And by the looks of it, he's gaining in on Ben Altria, looking to get himself up to 11th place. We've also got Jeremy Pronk, who didn't have such a good first race, but 4 places gained in this race. He's on a good recovery here. He's the Dutch sim racing team driver. 3 places gained for Luca Monroe, who was in the midst of a brilliant battle in race 1 with Christophe de May. 3 places gained in this race from where he started. Nigel Stock had a good start to this race, but he's dropped down to 8th at the moment. Of course, there are other drivers that went on to the earlier strategies that he's contending with here. But a bad first race. Nigel Stock recovering quite well in this second race. 8th right now will be a good result. Fastest lap of the race just then for Isaac Doble, by the way. Benji McCluskey has pulled away quite a bit, so something's happened to Isaac Doble just then. Nothing has come up on the events. But yeah, the previous lap to the previous, he had fastest lap of the race, did Isaac Doble, of a 1:30.6. But Benji McCluskey has just responded with that by going 1.7 seconds quicker than Isaac Doble. And I think Isaac Doble must have made a mistake or something. But now a healthy 2-second gap for Benji McCluskey. It means that he can probably ease off a little bit and take care of these alternates, because he's got to make them last. Realistically, he's got to make them last as long as he can. Because the longer he goes on these, the better his alternates will be for the final stint. Gavin Gardner in 6th place here, the host of the series. And it's good to see other people in Next Gen Racing giving it a go at running a league. It is a very, very difficult task. I've done it many times for many years, hosting all kinds of series, including IndyCar, so I know how tough it is. And to give it a go takes some bravery and some effort and an incredible amount of skill, actually. So Gavin Gardner does deserve a lot of praise for that, and a lot of praise in this race as well. He's 6th place right now, and he's gaining on Mark Frederick right now. So having a good one out there. This is still a fairly close battle between Toby Deck and Ben Altria. Toby Deck has used a lot of his push to pass. He's got 45 seconds remaining. He's used more than 3/4 of what he's allocated for the race. Oh, as he makes the big dive on Ben Altry there. And let's just find it back. Was Ben Altry, and he's gone out off the track. I'm not sure what's happened there. That was very strange. Right, okay, let's have a little watch of what's happened there. But Ben Altry off the track. Hopefully he can recover it. Let's just see what's happened here. I think he just lost the rear end a little bit there. I think he kind of let Toby Deck have the inside there as he fought back on the outside. I do think Ben Altry turned left and Toby Deck turned right as they were heading towards turn 2 there. But that's a shame for Ben Altry as he moves down to 14th. Yeah, that was a very strange incident. Not by conventional means, but Toby Deck is now up to 11th place. And actually, we've got to switch to 2nd place as Isaac Doble is losing another place here. And this one's going to be to Ewan Stitch. He's passed. And Isaac Doble is not on the faster tyre. He's on the... Isaac Doble is on the faster tyre at this point as well. This is how he did it. On the push pass, much better slipstream. Just moves his way past. So this is a situation very similar to what we saw in race 1, where Ewan Stitch is on the tyre that can go longer. But the difference in this one is when Ewan Stitch, or if Ewan Stitch reels in Benjamin McCluskey, McCluskey has the opportunity here to choose when he gets off those alternate tyres and gets back on the primaries. And then for that final stint, Ewan Stitch and McCluskey will be on par with one another. It'll be straight up between them on the primary tyres. I think this is going to be real close between them, between here and race end. Unfortunately to report, Mason is out of this race. He won't get the bonus points from completing the race, which is a big loss in points. Now, Christophe Demey, he was one of the first to pit. He's in the pits again for his second stop. Now, he's going to be very tight to get himself to the end of this race if indeed 25 minutes is how much a fuel tank can go on. This is going to be real tight for him. So let's see how he gets on. He might have to do a little bit of fuel saving to get this to the end. As he rejoins, and he wastes no time about it, getting back past Paul Williams then for turn 1. Right, a lot of these cars divvied up now. Not much battling going on the track. On that last lap, actually, Ewan Stitch was a lot quicker than Benjamin McCluskey. Half a second quicker. Ewan Stitch has been running on these tyres for 11 laps now, and that is when the primary tyre does come pretty good. But for the alternates, it won't quite be wearing off straight away. But in actual fact, that last lap, I'm completely mistaken. A 131.2 for Ewan Stitch, a 132.0 for Benjamin McCluskey, and everyone else except Gavin Gardner did 132s. Gavin Gardner did a 131.7. He's on the primaries though, so he, up against Mark Frederick up ahead, is in a good opportunity to try and challenge for 4th place. Ewan Stitch is on the charges now. Just below a second. Ben Altry in the pits now. He'll take his second stop now. He'll get off them alternate tyres. Yeah, below a second now. Ewan Stitch is rapid right now on these tyres that have gone a lot longer than Ben McCluskey's have, and they are up to optimum temperature. McCluskey has got to hang on though. He's got to get those alternates as far as he can. But the problem is, he knows that the next stint, him and Ewan Stitch are going to be on the same tyres as one another. Christophe Demey and Jamie Dory swapping positions here. Christophe Demey on fresh tyres, back out on the track. Gavin Gardner is still gaining on Mark Frederick up ahead as well. Nigel Stock is already in the pits. Swap out his tyres, so that's quite early for Nigel Stock actually. He didn't have a very long stint just then. Oh, look how close Ewan Stitch is here around a very fast part of the track. And McCluskey runs a bit wide. Ewan Stitch is going to get it to the inside. He's going to get it done before even the long straight where most of the overtaking has happened tonight. Into the lead goes Ewan Stitch. And on fresh tyres and plenty of fuel left in the tank, he can get his head down and he can pull away here. He is in a real opportunity to finish off this race here if he can keep this on the track and keep it going. McCluskey, it's just been unfortunate for him where he just hasn't been on the right strategy tonight. And the alternates really have not worked tonight. I just wonder if McCluskey will pull the trigger now. No, but Stitch has got to the end of his stint. He will switch out, and so will Isaac Doble. Isaac Doble thought potentially the same as what I thought then. Gavin Gardner's in the pits as well. So second and potentially final stop for a lot of these drivers. But McCluskey's back in the lead. Now the good thing for McCluskey is if he's in the lead more, it means that he can secure potentially the bonus point for most laps led. Now I don't have the stats for laps led on SDK. I don't think I do anyway. No, not by the looks of it. But I think it's going to be between McCluskey and Isaac Doble. Okay, Isaac Doble back out onto the track, and he is just ahead of Christophe Demey. And Christophe Demey has warmed up his tyres now. Doble's doing quite well, though, it must be said, on this outlap. These are the tricky corners, though. These are the ones where you try and steer more, but it just understeers off. This is Christophe Demey's favourite overtaking spot, and he tried again, but he wasn't able to make it. He goes into the rear of Isaac Doble, just about doesn't collect Jamie Dory while he's going sideways, and that might have scuppered Christophe Demey's chances of a top 5 there, where he loses a lot of time. Now in the pits are the front two, Benji McCluskey and Mark Frederick. Alex Meredith carries on and he'll take the lead of this race, but this is between Benji McCluskey and Ewan Stitch here. Now Benji McCluskey has decided to get off those alternates now and do a long stint on the primaries. He exits the pits, does Benji McCluskey, and there's Ewan Stitch. They're going to be side by side going into turn 1, but Stitch is able to get into the corner first. He'll retake the lead, but you know what? Benji McCluskey's done well there. He's minimised the time that he's lost to Ewan Stitch here. He's going to be able to focus on the rest of this race and maybe try and get himself quicker and catch back up to Ewan Stitch here. This is not over yet for McCluskey. He's recovered this a little bit. Quite a bit, actually. Isaac Doble, he's dropped off quite a bit from McCluskey. He's 4 seconds back now. So we'll see what he can recover at this point. Alex Meredith leads this race. Let's see how long he goes. He's on primary tyres. Now, I think he started this race on the primary tyres. So he'll have a stint to do in the alternates, I believe. So this could be interesting. He could go for quite a long time on this set and hold the lead of the race for quite a while. Fastest lap of the race just then set by Ewan Stitch. Very quick out lap there on primary tyres as well. He set that lap. He's very quick on these tyres. He stretched to a 2-second lead over Benjamin McCluskey, who admittedly has still been warming up his tyres. Now the thing is with McCluskey, he's got laps that are... he's got tyres that are 2 or 3 laps younger. 2 laps younger, I think, than Ewan Stitch. So he's going to have a little bit of extra tyre life that he can use later in the race. However, these primaries are able to get to the end of the race quite easily now, I do believe. Our top 3 now is Alex Meredith, Luca Monroe and Christian Yule, who are all drivers, I think, going to do a longer stint here on the primary tyres. So they'll remain the top 3 for quite a while, maybe. But Meredith here can focus on his times. Actually quite a good time, a 1:31.7. Not quite the time he'll need compared to Ewan Stitch and Isaac Doble, but still good nonetheless. He can still challenge for a top 5 in this race. As we're nearing the final quarter of this race. Into the pit lane actually does go Luca Monroe and Christian Yule. Now up into second place goes Ewan Stitch, and back into the top 3, Benjamin McCluskey. It's been interesting seeing all the strategies unfold here and how other drivers had to react to the strategies unfolding. McCluskey and Doble had to get off those alternates rather quick. I don't think it's actually cost them a huge amount of time. I think generally Ewan Stitch has been able to extract pace from these primary tyres very, very well, actually. And on the alternate stint he had at the start of the race, he was just able to keep up with the alternate runners for long enough. Mark Frederick is running behind Jamie Dory here. Jamie Dory still hasn't used barely any of his push to pass. He's used 1 second, which I've got a feeling he accidentally pressed the button, maybe just to use that 1 second. You know what? If you're Jamie right now, you're thinking, well, I'll use 20 seconds for the remaining 10 laps. That's quite a lot. We can just go for a ballistic lap using 15 to 20 seconds push to pass on the remaining laps. Doesn't look like he is, though. On the push to pass is Mark Frederick. It looks like he might be about to make a move on Jamie Doble here for 5th place. To the outside he goes. Dory's defending. And through he goes. He's able to complete it under the braking zone, and back into the top 5 goes Mark Frederick. He did have a sideways moment earlier that lost him quite a lot of time, but this is looking like a good recovery drive so far. Now Benji McCluskey ties up to temperature just over a second behind Ewan Stitch. It's going to be fascinating to see these two going at it, and actually on that last lap Benji McCluskey was half a second quicker than Ewan Stitch. The man who has won many GT3 championships is not given up yet. This is what he's good at, these feature races. He's good at conserving his tyres and his fuel and his car and his pace to the very end of these long races. Into the pits goes Alex Meredith. This will be his last stop of the race. And I think, actually, the majority of the grid have had their second stop, with the exception of Jamie Dory, who's just going as long as he can. There he is. And now taking the lead of the race goes Ewan Stitch. Following behind Benjamin McCluskey, who's now below a second behind. And identical times between Benjamin McCluskey and Ewan Stitch on that last lap. Both did a 1:31.25, which admittedly is more than a second off of their fastest lap pace. So they're still not quite at top pace right now. A good time for that on that last lap from Mark Frederick as well. He was only a couple of hundredths slower than Stitch and McCluskey. This is close between these two, and Benjamin McCluskey using more of his push to pass throughout this race. Downside is he's got less to use for the rest of the race than Ewan Stitch has, and Ewan can use a lot more at his disposal. Meanwhile, the last lap from Christophe Demey was a 1:29.9. That's the first and only we've seen tonight. So what could have been for Christophe tonight? His pace has been rapid on one lap pace. Pole sitter for this race, of course, but he's sitting at 11th right now. It's been a disappointing race, but his pace has been ballistic. The only 1:29 in this race. Jamie Dory's in the pits for his second stop and what will be his final stop. And hooray, he's used some more push to pass. He's used 5 more seconds of it. Now, Alex Meredith is on the alternate tyre now for his final stint. He only has 11 minutes to run on it, which isn't so bad, to be fair to him. But it will come a point towards the end of this stint where he is going to struggle, and Gavin Gardner behind will know that. He's going to try and stick with him as much as he can and threaten that top 5 towards the end of the race. But I think we found our trio that are, or even the 5 that are to look out for in this series. Maybe you could go as far as saying 6 to look out for in this series. You've got Ewan Stitch, who's leading this race. He's won the previous race and currently looking okay to win this race. You've got Benjamin McCluskey, who is quick in anything, let's be honest. You've got Isaac Doble, who again is quick in anything, and he's been rapid tonight and scoring big points and positions. Same with Mark Frederick, same with Alex Meredith, and you've also got to look out for Christophe Demey. His one lap pace has been incredible to look at tonight. So they're the 6 that I think are to look out for in this series at the moment. But we've got ovals, and there's going to be oval specialists in this series. I know for a fact that Jeremy Pronk is very good on ovals, so look out for him at Indy, look out for him at Phoenix. I know that Nigel Stock is actually very good on the ovals as well. He beat me a lot of times in my own series, so look out for him. And he's had a good second race here. 7th place for him. He'll be pleased with his recovery in this race. Good qualifying session for this race too as well. Biggest mover of this race tonight. Actually, there's a tie for 4 places game between Ewan Stitch, Alex Meredith and Luca Monroe, who's in 8th place right now. All of them are the biggest gainers of this race. Toby Deck is out of this race, unfortunately. 18th right now, and he's pulled back to the pits. That's such a big shame. He was driving really well earlier as well. But hopefully we'll see these guys back next week, as next week we're at Indianapolis for 90 minutes at Indy, not quite an Indy 500, but a timed oval race, which is going to be really interesting. But yeah, the mecca of all open wheel racing is next for us. Still swapping between under and second, and over a second between Stitch and McCluskey. Super tight margins between these two. And after the race, we will have a few interviews as well. Christophe Demey has got himself back into the top 10 here. Now, the points, it's quite hard to explain the points. It'd be easier if we had a graphic to kind of explain the points. But the amount of points you get for these feature races, I'm just going to try and bring up rules on my screen so I can kind of read it out. But yeah, you get 50 points for a win in the feature race, and then it's a 10-point drop to second place. So that'll be why Ewan Stitch and Ben McCluskey are going at it like the clappers. It's basically double points in these feature races. 10 points is a big gap between first and second. So that'll be why they are going at it. And the oval race next week at Indianapolis will also be 50 points for the win. So another important one. Board here with McCluskey. These two are just head-to-head on lap times at this point. It won't be the helping Benj McCluskey that he's getting a little bit of dirty air in front as well. Believe it or not, it really does affect these cars on iRacing quite a bit. And it certainly does on the ovals as well. We'll see that next time at Indianapolis. Oh, Ben Altra is in the pits with a meatball flag for some reason. He went off the track just before going into the pits. That is such a shame. He's had a bit of a miserable race. He had that contact with Toby Deck earlier on as well. Getting out the final corner. Just lets go of him. And he couldn't keep it out of the wall. Oh, it's a big impact with the wall as well. He will be able to carry on. He would have got a fast repair and he'd be able to carry on in 14th place, and he has. No, he isn't. He's out of the race. He's out of the race. Oh, that's such a big shame for him. And that's just proof that these cars really are tough to drive. When you get them hooked up, they are real good fun. They really, really are. But to keep them hooked up is... It takes a whole big level of concentration. Board with Ewan Stitch. Set to be a double winner tonight with just 5.5 minutes to go, but he's being kept honest by Benjamin McCluskey here. He does have a little bit of a disadvantage that he's got tyres that are 2 laps older than Ben McCluskey's. We'll see if in these final 3.5 laps that disadvantages him at all. Got a healthy gap to Isaac Goebel as well, so even if they do start battling, it's not going to be that bad. But actually, Ben McCluskey has only got 19 seconds of push to pass left, whereas trickling down to 45, you can see Ewan Stitch is using it now. McCluskey used it now. He's only really got 5 seconds that he can use per lap now. Whereas Ewan Stitch can use a bit more. Just 2.5 laps to go. Ewan Stitch is really responding well to Ben McCluskey. When the time goes below 1 second, he responds. But you know what? This is only round one of the championship. Plenty can unfold in the future races, and I do think there will be races this season where the alternate will end up becoming the better tyre to use on certain tracks. So I do think it's going to swap and change track on track, and when, of course, we head towards the winter as well, and the temperatures will drop in sim, that'll really change things. That'll really be the detriment to the primary tyre. Stitch already on that push to pass. He's just able to eke out a little bit more pace from that car with using that push to pass. Yeah, you can see McCluskey's using 5 seconds per lap here. He's trying. Mark Frederick is also using quite a bit of push to pass to try and catch up with Isaac Doble, but Isaac Doble has got 75 seconds that he has left in this race, so he can use it whenever he wants pretty much from here on. Just 2 laps to go in this race. Nigel Stock has used all his push to pass, so has Paul Williams, so has Carl Thompson. Wide there goes Benji McCluskey, really pushing hard. And I think Stitch went off the track a little bit then as well. A little bit of gravel kicked up from him as well. That's how hard they're pushing. Still doing extremely quick lap times are both these. Ben McCluskey still sneaking into the 130s. But that last lap, I fear, was slower. And Stitch will be about to take the white flag here to start his final lap of the race. I don't think he's led the most laps in this race. I got a feeling that would have gone to McCluskey. That'll be found out on the point standings after the race. Point standings which we'll show you next time out at Indianapolis, because it's all being set up in the background for this opening round. But what a night of racing. It's been a nice debut to the Next Gen IndyCar series. We've had an outright winner, but certainly not the runaway winner. He's been contended by many drivers tonight, but Ewan Stitch has been the one to stand out as being the championship leader out of tonight and the singular race winner outright tonight. Just got to bring it home here. But don't forget, we're at ovals next. That can completely change things. That might be where other drivers thrive. Final few corners here. And there we go. It is done for Ewan Stitch. He's going to get 2 on the trot tonight. Fantastic driving from him all night long. Ewan Smith is your championship leader and your race 2 winner here at Mugello. Benji McCluskey through for another 2nd place tonight. Brilliant battling and performances from these two tonight. Across the line for 3rd place goes Isaac Doble, finishing just ahead of Mark Frederick in the end for 4th place. Alex Meredith will come through in 5th place, not repeating the podium of race 1, and Gavin Gardner comes through in 6th position. Luca Monroe, I think, has just thrown a move on Nigel Stock in the final corner. Can't quite keep it going, but these two are going to drag race to the end of the race here, and which one is going to have it? Oh, I got a feeling that was Nigel Stock by... Yeah, that's it. 0.003 of a second he gets it by. Brilliant photo finish for 7th place between Stock and Monroe. Christian Jewell will come through in 9th place, and Christophe Demey will round off the top 10. But how about that finish between Nigel Stock and Luca Monroe? Let's get a slow-mo of it crossing the line. Brilliant straight line exit from Nigel Stock. Had the upper hand of momentum heading out of the corner. And as we head to the line, I think this point, you can see Nigel Stock has got ahead. I was meant to press pause then, but I instead press play. Let's get another one of look. Let's get another look at that just to see how close it actually was. Good to see a photo finish here, and we're not even on the ovals yet. Yep, that is super, super close. That's apparently what 0.03 of a second looks like this series. Brilliant finish between them two. And a brilliant start to the series, and these are our provisional results of race 2 for round 1 of the Next Gen Racing IndyCar series. Round one at Mugello. Ewan Stitch with 2 wins on the trot wins it by just so under a second over on top of Benji McCluskey. 3rd place, Isaac Doble, with 4th place going to Mark Frederick. 5th place, Alex Meredith. 6th is Gardner. 7th is Nigel Stock with Luca Monroe in 8th. Christian Yule in 9th and Christophe Demey in 10th. Jamie Dory comes through in 11th place in the end, with 12th place going to Jeremy Pronk. And 13th place going to Paul Williams. A lap or more down were Carl Thompson, Phil McDougall, Lee Horn, Mark Sykes retiring from the race, and Ben Outry retiring from the race as well. That was a brilliant, brilliant opening night. And there we go, Ewan Smith doing some donuts on the start line for us. And burnouts, apparently. Nice. There we go, there's a reminder of our results here from this opening race of the night. And of course, Ewan Stitch getting 2 wins on the trot tonight and 2 consecutive second places for Benji McCluskey. What happens with bonus points as well, it remains to be seen as well, but I think our outright championship leader is going to be Ewan Stitch at the end of the night when all the points are calculated up. We are going to wrap it up there, ladies and gentlemen. What a night of racing we have just witnessed, and a brilliant, epic start to a brand new chapter for Next Gen Racing. This has been the Next Gen Racing IndyCar Series 1 here on YouTube and Facebook. Please do give us a like and a subscribe on the channels if you are watching. Let's give a shout out to our partner sponsors and affiliates that include PowerMax Racing, Mark Sykes Designs, Benji Sim Photos, Motorsport UK Esports, Sam Cases, Moser Racing, Joyce Design, P1.com, Falconer PC, and a big thanks to Next Gen Racing and its community as well for helping us put on these races and being a part of these races. That's been round 1 at Mugello. Next up is Indianapolis. It is the first oval race of the season. It's going to be 90 minutes around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to start us off with our oval venture in this series. The second round of the championship. It will start 2 weeks from today on the 25th of August. But when we start, it's going to be very entertaining. We'll see you then for that opening oval race of the season. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, that's all from us here at Next Gen Racing, the home of clean and fair sim racing for all.